Hey guys, and welcome back to my FPL team reveal. In today's video, we're going to take a quick look back at how my Game Week 1 team did and any changes I'm going to be making ahead in Game Week 2. I'm also going to be looking at who's on my watch list, who's for the chop, and what are my future plans for my team. So let's get stuck in. So overall, Game Week 1 really wasn't that bad. I got 66 points, which puts me at an overall rank of around the 1 million mark. And before the game week started, my main point of contention was who I was going to captain. You know, I put it on Twitter, I asked my friends, I debated in my own mind. It was between Salah and Aubameyang. Luckily for me, I ended up picking Salah, a home fixture against Leeds. Was pretty much a no-brainer, but he did bag an assist. 20 points overall, so 40 points with the captain pick, which was fantastic. Aubameyang did return, but did get a yellow card in the process, which really dented any hopes he had of getting any bonus points, and also the fact that Willian delivered a hat-trick of assists. An absolute disaster class at the back, none of my defenders returning anything of note, and actually two of them not even factoring into the game day squads for their teams. So William Saliba and Douglas of Leeds are both kind of sitting there, and I'm wondering what to do. I'm going to try and hold off making a transfer of them. There's not really much options, particularly at the 4 million mark, and I'm aiming to wildcard in Game Week 4, so I'm hoping I can hold off until at least then. I'm majorly concerned around Spurs and also how my budget midfielders are shaping up, but I'm not quite panicking yet. There's plenty more time in the season to go, and Game Week 1 really isn't enough to justify any knee-jerk reactions. So let's move on to transfers with both Manchester clubs on the horizon. Like many, I had the idea to transfer out Salah for one of Bruno or Kevin De Bruyne. But after Salah's shown of a hat-trick, I can't do that. So I've been looking at the mid-range kind of midfielders to kind of figure out what movements I can make there. I had Dele Alli, who really underperformed on the Spurs side against Everton and was hooked at half-time. So I've opted to swap him for James Rodriguez. Now Rodriguez didn't return anything in his first game week, but really looked promising when on the pitch. He did have 3 attempted shots and 5 attempted assists, so I'm really hopeful that he can get some really good form. They've got a really good run of games coming up, so I think that he could be a good pick for the future. So I've transferred out Dele Alli for James Rodriguez. That has given me an extra $500,000. And I've chosen to remove Danny Ings. Now, Danny Ings, once again, blanked at the first game of the season and also blanked in midweek in the EFL Cup. And so I've opted to swap him out for Martial. That extra 0.5 million gave me the ability to upgrade to Martial. I really hope he can continue his fantastic form from Project Restart and return some really good points for me. So my Game Week 2 squad looks like this. I'm keeping Salah in the hope that he starts this week, even though he didn't last week. Gabriel had a fantastic game at the back and is 5 million, so unlikely he will, so I'm not holding my breath. If he doesn't, Souček can come on for a point or two, likely. I've also still got Douglas, who's likely not going to play as well. But like I said earlier, kind of holding out that I can do some changes in that area during my wild card. And the prospect of a -4 for a 4 or a 4.5 million defender just really doesn't whet my appetite. So that's my Game Week 2 squad. I'm hoping it does well. My captain choice for this week will likely be Aubameyang against West Ham. So let's move on to the watch list. My eyes this week are firmly on those Manchester assets, like I said earlier, Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne. However, I have been focusing my attention on Foden, who is 6.5 million and looks like a potential bargain at that price range and with some really special numbers after Project Restart. If he was to continue, that form throughout the season, he could be a 200 plus point guy. So I think he's well worth keeping an eye on. There's also Raheem Sterling, who has such phenomenal away form and ridiculously low ownership. I really think he could do some damage to a lot of people's ranks for those that have opted for KDB over Sterling. Over the next 6 weeks, no other teams have better fixtures than both Wolves and Everton. So I'm keeping a firm eye on Richarlison, who, although missing an absolute sitter against Spurs, had a much better stats that underlined him against Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which everyone seems to be opting for. I'm also keeping a close eye on Sace for Wolves, who bagged a goal and a clean sheet and only cost 5 million. With so many great options at 5 million and below, I'm certainly considering shifting Doherty out for some of those assets. In the context of my goalkeeper, so I have Nyland, you would have seen midweek that EMILIANO Martinez from Arsenal swapped for 20 million to Aston Villa. At 4.5 million, I think he's a really, really good viable option for that 4.5 million rotating goalkeeper option. He did fantastic for Arsenal after Project Restart, and I think he could do well at Villa, despite the fact that likely they're not going to get many clean sheets. He'll be certainly getting a lot of save points. So that's it for my Game Week 2 team reveal. Please subscribe and like my videos. Next week I'll be obviously prepping for Game Week 3, and on the horizon will be my likely Game Week 4 wildcard. So please keep an eye out for that one, and I'll see you next week.